the Dr. James and Nurse Alice show. Oh my gosh, that was like loud, wow, live and crazy and loud. I'm just was like, oh, no, hold on, Alice, you're busy. Video done froze on me. Hopefully that'll pop up back in a second. But we are so excited that y'all here on a Monday because it is the Dr. James and Nurse Alice show. We go live every Monday except for last Monday.
It was Nurses Week. We needed some time off to recuperate.
We did need some time off to recuperate.
Give me at least 1 week. Okay.
Right. And hold on, I'm actually about your Nurses Week in just a second, but I want to acknowledge I got some peeps here on TikTok. So listen, I am not at 10,000 followers yet, which means I can't go live from my computer. So I'm going to be live on TikTok and I'm going to be watching y'all. I'm going to be coming in and be answering your questions too. We're going to get to your stuff, but I'm looking over here because I'm live everywhere else. We are live with me and Alice on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagrams, and the whatnot. So Alice, speaking of, so I'm going to get to the holiday that was yesterday, but how was your Nurses Week?
Nurses Week was, it's a week of celebration where we thank our fellow nurses but I was working. Your girl was working. So even though it was Nurses Week, I don't know that it wasn't like a vacation or anything like that. I wish. I was still busy saving lives, but it's nice to be acknowledged. I'll say that. Not that I need it. I don't do it for the acknowledgement, but when you've been busting your butt, it's always nice when someone can say, hey, I appreciate the work that you're doing. Thank you. Keep up the good work. I mean, I just like to hear it. It's free. I like to hear it and just keeps me motivated inside. It's like when the patients, you work so hard to save someone's life. And then when that person can come back and just say, thank you, you're like, this is why I do this. This is why I do this, the reward.
Right. Well, yeah, the reward and helping folks out. One of the things, oh my gosh, there are so many people live on TikTok, by the way. Hi, TikTok folks.
Hi, TikTok.
We're here. I'm also live, but I don't have 10,000 followers yet, so I can't go live on my computer. So y'all follow on TikTok if you want, and I can go live from the computer. Anyway, drop your comments in there. We're going to ask them to TikTok. Everybody else, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So Alice, did you see I posted that video that was like, what do nurses really want for Nurses Week? Did you see
benefits? Yeah, I saw it. We want, safe patients ratios, better staffing.
That part.
Right. Better compensation packages, because we do work hard. And I don't know if people really know this because, we're not necessarily in the military.
Right.
Although we were told we were on the front lines when it came to COVID.
During COVID.
We literally legit put ourselves in a scenario, in a situation where we can be exposed to many hazards, biochemical diseases, work injuries, violence, like so many things are coming our way. And I don't know that healthcare is really appreciated in that sense, to know that it's really a volatile environment to work in.
It is, and I think that's one of the things that we actually talked about that nurses wanted when they were like, this is something that I want, like hazard pay.
Hazard pay.
For
military gets that. They do. They get that when they go out to sea. Military service members, when they go out on certain missions and things, they actually get hazard pay.
Yeah.
They do.
Military folks get that. But also there is something about like other military folks, if we want to make this correlation, get certain some protections. I guess wartime is different. I'm not going to make that correlation, but get some protections. Whereas there are so many nurses who, if they didn't put it in the comments, they were also talking about, like in my DMs or whatever, about how they were like, we just want to feel safe at our job. Like, we just don't want people to be attacking us. We don't want to be bullied by our own. We don't want like patients and their families like physically, mentally, and emotionally harming us. Like, that's all we want for Nurses Week, and maybe a little free parking, which I can't believe.
Parking should be free. Now, if you pay for parking at work, that's a shame. Shame on your hospital. You mean to tell me you're going to come to work, clock in, and still pay for parking?
And then pay for park. Right. Literally, there was a hospital that I worked at that I was like, this is like 1/8 of my daily pay to park here. Like, I don't know. It was just wild. It was a lot. So anyway, we really appreciate y'all who commented, who did some things for our folks on Nurses Week. It's there's actually someone on LinkedIn too that we both follow. Alice was like, do we even still need Nurses Week anymore? Does it still benefit the profession? That's a whole other.
Well, they changed it to Hospital Week.
Oh, I think we lost connection and now we're back. So But I do, Alice, I want to ask you because we're only going half an hour today, y'all. And I want to tease what we're going to talk about. We're talking about STI in your eye.
Yes.
It's a thing. We're also talking about your funky toes and your funky toenails, and in a no shame, no judgment kind of way, what you can do about your funky toes.
Yes.
And there's a government officials working on a really interesting change to how your medical debt might impact your credit score. So we have some fun, juicy topics to talk about today.
No.
We're getting there. But before, Alice, how was your Mother's Day? Happy Mother's Day, friend.
Thank you. Mother's Day was good. My kids are a little bit older, so they were actually at the age where they could actually buy me stuff. You know, it's not just like take the crayons and draw something. They actually bought me stuff. So that was really nice. You know, flowers, perfume, cards. They cooked for me. That was really nice. It's really a treat. You know, being a mother is something that's very special. That's my number one job. Obviously, Nurse Alice, I'm gonna sit, you know, take care of people, but my most important patients are those that are here in the house with me.
Yep, I agree. So it was good. You had a good time?
I did have a good time. But you know, I would say I got to kick back and relax a little bit. Didn't have to worry about, you know, cooking or washing dishes. I can actually celebrate the entire weekend. So not just Sunday, but entire weekend. So it was really great. And so it afforded me the time to kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy and kind of indulge and catch up on a lot of new topics, things that are trending and things like that. So James, if I may, I'd like to go ahead and pivot into something that I thought was really interesting. And it's about goddamn time that something like this is happening. And so
Let them know, Alan. Sorry, I just dropped myself on my TikTok friend. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Tell them the truth, Alice. Give it to them.
Exactly. And the thing is, this isn't even a breaking new topic right now. And so it's kind of one of those things that it happens and then people are kind of quiet about it. And I don't understand why that is. But I will say this. The Biden administration has passed a law that prohibits medical debt from impacting the credit scores of Americans. And I thought that was way high. You know, we're overdue for something like that because medical debt is the number one reason people go into bankruptcy. Over 10 million people have medical debt. And it's not just about just having the debt itself, but the sequela of having medical debt. So first off, nobody wants to be sick. Right? We should ideally be going to our providers for preventative care, get early screening, early treatment, and staying on top of things. But certain conditions, you know, they don't get monitored, or we miss something's missed. There isn't their surveillance, or there is an accident, something we didn't plan for, and people end up needing medical care. They go to the hospital now, James.
And this is even for people, before you go further, Alice, this is even for people who have really good insurance.
Absolutely.
People are like, have excellent insurance. So this is just, because I think a lot of times when people think about like, oh, medical debt, and your medical debt caused you to go into bankruptcy, or, you know, file chapter this and chapter 7 or whatever, or like it's the number one reason why people file bankruptcy. It's the largest amount of debt that people have outside of their home is medical debt.
Exactly.
I think people think, oh, well, you were uninsured. You should have had insurance and you wouldn't be this way. And baby, let me tell you, working in the healthcare environment, we know, we get this. Sometimes it is the people who come in and have bomb insurance, but they have some crazy something that happens and they end up staying in the hospital for 6 weeks. And regardless, after the insurance is paid, they still have huge oppressive medical bills.
And here's the crazy thing about this. And I think healthcare it's a business, whether we like to acknowledge it or not. It is one of the biggest, if not the biggest business that's out there. And where else do you go and you get a service without knowing how much it costs up front, right? Anticipating, like the terms, the agreements of everything before you get the service. Sometimes there's no time for that. You're rushed in an emergency situation, you know, bones broken, x-rays need to be done. You're shuttling off to surgery, getting all these, you know, treatments, medications, and you come back out. You're just thankful to be alive. And then you get this medical bill. You're like, oh my God, kill me now, right? That's literally how
Where did this come from? Yeah, exactly.
Right, where did this come from? And so, but here's the thing. Is it a business? Absolutely. Should, you know, it takes money to operate those type of things. But I'm also going to say, Dr. James, that I don't know that our healthcare system is priced properly. There's lots of a lot of things. It'll take a whole episode to go into it. But long story short, someone ends up with a medical bill and it drives them into debt. I mean, these are outrageous bills. These hospital systems, these healthcare providers and clinics get aggressive with their collection measures. They could, take you to court. They could sue you. They could take you to court. They could put liens on your property. All of these things. And some companies and providers and clinics have done that. And then it hits your credit score. And then what happens when it hits your credit score? It impacts your ability to possibly apply for credit, buy a home, get a car, pass a security clearance for a job. It really has a lot of negative impact on someone. It like drives into the ground and doesn't let you come up for air.
And even if you are able to do those things, it's that much more expensive.
Yes.
So you already are like crazy amount in debt, and then you're fine. You're able to get a car note or whatever, but they're like, oh, your car loan's going to be 14% interest or whatever. Yeah. And then it's that much more money. And then you end up not being able to get a car that works well because you can't afford it. And then you get some used thing and it breaks down. And then you got to spend money on that. Like it's a whole revolving thing.
Right. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is an agency that was formed in response to the 2008 financial crisis. Back in the days, I don't know if y'all remember that when the real estate, everything just kind of crumbled at that time. But this bureau came up, and one of their goals was to work on medical debt and trying to help free Americans from all of the sequela and bad things that happen with that medical debt. Now, there's a lot of controversy, and I anticipate there'll be still opposition with this, even though a law was passed. But I will say this, the three major credit bureaus did sign off on removing some things from your medical debt from your credit report. And golly, I'm almost sad to say it. So debts that are under 500 will qualify for this. Debts that are greater than 500 are still, we don't know how that's going to,
$500?
$500. So if your medical debt is more than $500, this may not yet apply to you.
Hold on, time out.
Oh my God.
So we did all this legislation, and these people are mad and talking about, and we just gave you all of the tea about how the largest amount of debt that people owe, the number one reason why people go into bankruptcy is because of medical debt. And
I know.
They're now saying that we will have your medical debt not impact your credit score, but only if your medical debt is less than $500.
That's currently where it is. Now they're going to work on trying to have that kind of restriction removed, but here's the opposition. The opposition that's going to come is from collection agencies. So they're going to try to make it harder for hospitals to get paid if it's able to demand. They possibly could demand people pay upfront services or push them into credit cards before they get service so that they can't then just get the care, not pay it, and have their medical debt erased. So I think the idea and the plan is there. The first baby steps have been made, but we still got a long way to go. And for those people who are asking, well, when does this take effect? Well, it's in law now, but it takes, we got to put some bark to that bite, or what is that, bite to the bark, whichever one it is. But we don't really anticipate to really see these things to take action until much later in the end of the year or maybe top of the year. So,
but Alice, do you think that people would actually, could you imagine, we do this now for like our copay when we go in to see our primary. They usually, you call, you get an appointment, and then before you can see them, they're like, give me your $25 for your copay, whatever. In
a controlled environment. And actually, let me say this, Jane, sorry I didn't cut you off, but during the what was Agent Orange's president's name? Agent Orange.
During Vietnam?
No, Trump. I was just being funny.
Oh, girl, Agent Orange.
So during
Voldemort, who shall not be named. Yeah.
So during President Trump's administration, they actually passed legislation that said that all hospitals had to have their prices posted somewhere on their website. However, there's no standardization of that. It looks different on everybody's hospital page. Some people, it's very robust, some it's very small, but technically, every hospital is supposed to have their prices posted somewhere. So you're supposed to know what you're getting into. For plan things like
every hospital is supposed to have their prices posted somewhere, but I don't.
It's supposed to. There's a law. It's federal law, but there's no sanctions if they don't do it. So the oversight and the monitoring of it is not there, but the law is there that they're supposed to.
I haven't seen. Sorry for the folks who are watching, by the way, because this damn internet on my end. I think keeps going in and out. I don't know why.
Yeah.
That's weird. Are you? Hold on, Alice. I'm gonna bring you back in. One sec. Look at me. It's just me right there. Hey, y'all. I'm bringing Alice back. I promise.
So
All right.
you got me?
There you go.
Okay,
Yep.
so that was passed. That law was enacted during President Trump's administration. So it's there. It's been about 4 years already. So,
But hey, nobody sees. There's not like a menu when you come into the ER of
well,
prices.
what you do is you ask. You have to ask. It's kind of like this fine print. It's like one of those things. Well, if they don't ask me, I'm not going to say anything. That's really kind of what it is. But on every website, every hospital website, or if you call the accounting office and say, "Where's your price list for all of the procedures or for whatever you're going to get done?" then you can go there. Now, and then also, is this a cash pay price? Could that price change because you have insurance? There's lots of formalities and idiosyncrasies in all this, which may render that information not necessarily as accurate as we'd like it to be. However, It's there to start. We need to like bringing this all in together and get some control under these things, because the thought is there, right, to do the right thing, but we just don't have the team and the resources to really make sure these things are enacted the way that we want them to, so they can provide the benefit that they're intended to provide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is wild. I had not. Yeah, now that you say it, I was like, yes, of course, they're supposed to have prices posted or whatever, but I just can't.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, Alice, it would be a whole thing if could you just imagine coming into the ER and look, not even saying like, you need to pay me up front. That's a different conversation. That's a whole EMTALA, like whatever thing. But EMTALA meaning like we legally have to treat people who come see us for help in the ER. But could you imagine being like, I need to have my appendix out. It is ruptured. I am getting like a surgical, like a septic belly. Yep. I got to have this thing out, but all you can do is look up there. Look at the thing and you're like, well, this surgery, generally speaking, for someone of your health condition and age or whatever, costs $45,000 or whatever it costs.
Right. So, some will argue that it wasn't brought to the forefront because we didn't want to deter people from getting care because they are worried about going into medical debt, which is why now this new law kind of complements and should work hand in hand with the posting of medical prices and the forgiveness of medical debt on your credit. So, it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. But what I do want to say is that your health is so, so important. And I'm going to say, screw the bill. I'd rather you be alive, get the care that you need, and just screw the bill, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, not what I know it can feel like a heavy burden afterwards, but we'd much rather you be alive and not forego care because of the price. I mean, even ambulance rides are super expensive. Everything's expensive in healthcare, but your life is actually priceless. So please don't allow that to be the reason why you forego care. And that honestly, Dr. James, this is why some people, they'll take a very small thing and they don't want to go to their provider because, it's going to cost this. But then they wait. And then it becomes a bigger issue, bigger problem, requires more care, is more expensive, is more extensive. You're off of work for longer. And that's what we're trying to avoid. So 2/3 of the healthcare dollar is spent on chronic care, reactive care. If we can swing that pendulum to the 1/3 and be early identification, early treatment, screening, and all those things, hopefully we can optimize your health outcomes, and minimize the costs of healthcare.
Yeah, and it will make such a difference. Look at you! Wow, that was like I felt like you were giving us who? Give me some.
Who? What was it giving?
Gwen Eiffel, rest in peace. Or a little like Diane Sawyer, a little Barbara Walters. Did I get
Barbara Walters?
You were reporting. You were giving me what's old girl on ABC? Deborah. She's married to Al Roker.
Is she?
Yeah, Al Roker. You should be giving me the tea. Yeah,
well, I was giving it. It was giving what it was supposed to be giving.
You were giving me very professional.
Thank you.
I love it. That was great. And now, speaking of very unprofessional, let's go to me. So,
speaking of all of this, right? Your eyes,
just all up in my eyes. Oh no. Okay, so we had some viewer questions last show, particularly talking about ocular syphilis. So, for those of you who don't live in an area where syphilis is like endemic, we're not even endemic, it's just like on fire, right? It's crazy. That's kind of everywhere. It's kind of like the whole country, believe it or not. Now, it is still one of the, I believe it's 6 or maybe top 5 STIs. So it's not
STI in your eye.
But oh man, we lost it. Alice, I'm gonna bring it back in. Hold on, this damn internet. All right, there we go. I think you're in. So we had someone ask a question about ocular syphilis because they saw like a billboard or something about it, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you can get syphilis in your eye." So I'm gonna explain it to you a little bit. You cannot get syphilis like it's not like, oh, someone has sniffles. Someone has
You need to sniff.
you need to sniff. Someone has syphilis on their genitalia, and their genitalia like touches your eye, and then now you have eye syphilis. That's not how that works.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, I know, but it kind of feels like it should be that way, right? Ocular syphilis is a manifestation of like regular syphilis, like as a sexually transmitted infection. So skin to skin, genitalia contact, that sort of thing happens during a sexual act typically. And later on, if the syphilis is not treated, you develop something called like neurosyphilis because it's affecting your brain, neuro, and ocular syphilis. So syphilis that's impacting your eye is a symptom of neurosyphilis. So there are stages of syphilis. So primary syphilis is like right away when you get it, like 1 to 2 months right after you get it. You usually have a little sore. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. And then it goes away. Sometimes you got a little fever. It's a little painful down there sometimes, but then often it can go away. Lots of people who have syphilis don't actually have any symptoms, and they don't see the sore.
Right. Okay.
Then there's like a secondary syphilis, which is sort of like 1 to 6 months later. Okay. And you can still in that time develop like fevers and chills and rash and like all kinds of different stuff, right? During that secondary syphilis. Then, let me get my notes right here. There's a latent syphilis. So if your syphilis in the primary or secondary syphilis doesn't get treated, it can go dormant.
Go to sleep. Go night-night.
It goes night-night in your body, and it will pop up, and you probably won't have symptoms, so you won't know that you have it, or you had it active and now it's latent. You don't know that you have it, and it goes away night-night. And it doesn't pop up for a while, and you cannot transmit it either. So it's not like you may be out there having sex with someone and that person is like, oh, I have syphilis. Like you're actually not transmitting it at that time. But then what happens is this thing called tertiary syphilis. And it's kind of a scary term for us medical folks when you hear someone has tertiary syphilis, because that's when after the latent phase, so the third phase, fourth phase, you have the syphilis, you've never treated it, it pops back up as tertiary syphilis. Whoa, it pops back up into all different kinds of things. And it can manifest with lots of neurologic changes as well. So people can have like personality changes. People can have like numbness and tingling. They can have almost these weird, like, not quite like stroke-like symptoms, but they get confusion. There's a massive infection. It's really a big deal.
Late. Yeah.
And I mean, this is what they used to talk about, like people would go like crazy, right? With like tertiary syphilis. And it ultimately, I mean, if it's really, really untreated, it can take you down, but that's rare. That almost never happens anymore. But when it gets to this latent stage, so this fourth stage, you got syphilis, you didn't treat it or didn't know you had it, went away, went night-night, and then came back. That's tertiary syphilis.
Yeah.
When it's impacting your brain neurologically, it also can impact your eyes. And you can get something called neovascularization of the eye, which means new blood vessels. But too many new blood vessels is not necessarily a good thing in your eyes. You get cataract, you get early glaucoma, macular degeneration, all these things that will impact your eyes just from having syphilis.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's kind of like a big deal.
So how do I find it? Like, what are the symptoms? I mean, other than the neuro symptoms, right? That stage. What are the earlier? Like, how would I know? How would I know?
How will I know if I have the syphilis? I say a prayer in every encounter. Did we manifest Mother Whitney talk in a syphilis conversation as I pat my weave? So often, here's the thing about syphilis. Like you want to we lost Alice. Now Alice is back, I think. So you want to identify if you have it early on. So people who have syphilis, you are always going to get, it's called a canker. And there's going to be some type of little sore somewhere on your genitalia. So penis, labia, whatever. You're going to have sometimes it's right on the shaft. Sometimes it's in your pubic hair. Sometimes it's on your testicles. Sometimes it's up higher up. Sometimes it's kind of on the inside of your labia. But you're going to get a sore. And sometimes that's the only thing you have. And so depending on where the sore is, you may not actually know that it was there. Okay. This is kind of why so many people can get syphilis and pass it on and they don't even really know they have it. Okay. Yeah. So it's super common. About 12 million people in the world get syphilis every year. Interestingly, only about 55 to 60,000 folks in the United States are diagnosed with syphilis every year, but it is thought to be very underdiagnosed. So a lot of people don't know that they have it, but we do have this like syphilis explosion, right? That's been happening. You see these billboards all over LA and all this stuff. So there's this like syphilis explosion. And the reason ocular syphilis is popping up now is because we're seeing so many more people who had syphilis, didn't know they had it necessarily, and or didn't get it treated. And so now it's popping up tertiary a year later, and it's involving their eyes. So people are coming in and they're like, I got some stuff wrong with my eyes. And we're like, baby girl, you have syphilis. The good news though, it's a bacterial infection. So you guys know bacteria and antibiotics, that's how they work, right? Antibiotics kill most bacteria. So we can give you an antibiotic so they can treat it, and you see an eye doctor and your vision usually is fine.
Well, that's good to know, because it sounds really scary, but I think this really emphasizes the importance of getting your annual screenings and getting STD screenings. I know some like, well, I'm married or I'm this and we're monogamous. I understand. I understand that you're monogamous, and I'm not saying that he or she's not monogamous, but it's still very important to still get your screenings, especially for things that are asymptomatic that you may not be able to see. And there's, nothing wrong with that. So some people take offense when you ask them, like, would you like an STD panel? I'm married.
Right. Well,
I understand that, but still, right. I think we have to normalize that it's okay to want to, get screened and get treated, because, hey, both of you guys could have it and may not know. And it's could have, been early on. We don't know, but get screened. Because
it's also, Alice, there's mother baby transmission of syphilis too that can be really, really impactful to the baby. So it is important too. So let's say you're in a relationship and it's monogamous and you're married or not married or whatever, but you're at some point in time, if you want to start thinking about having kids, if that is in your world, then you're going to need this test anyway. So let's go ahead and get it. So there you go. Ocular syphilis, Alice. And I have no idea how to transition from ocular syphilis, something that's messing with your eyes, to funky toes. Hold on. It's my job. I'm going to bring in this. This is how we're going to do this transition.
Okay. We're going to do the video or the photo first. What are we going to do? So, guys. I'm going to do the video. Thank you, James, for sharing that with us, because I think some people they probably think, oh, I got, something that the transmission of syphilis would be if maybe, your adult juices got onto your eye or something,
like skin to skin, genital with the eye,
thing like that. Yeah. So, because when you say STD in your eye, you think of direct transmission. But good news, make sure you use it, guys. Make sure you go and get screened. Talk to your partner.
It just popped right in, didn't it? I didn't even mean for it to do all that.
Okay, so guys, let's pause here. So, from head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Head, shoulders, ocular syphilis, and toes.
There you go. And toes. So, actually, this is, I want you guys to take this in, look at this photo. There is no shade. And let me just also preface this. So, because I'm at my big old age, I remember there was a particular movie, Dr. James. We were just talking about the movie. What was it called again? Boomerang.
Boomerang.
I don't know if anybody in this chat box, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, wherever you are, if y'all remember the movie Boomerang, just let us know, because I remember, and let me just be transparent, but my toes are cute now. Let me just say that they're cute now. But before, because I played sports, I had some corns on my feet. And so they weren't the cutest, but I hated when that movie came out, because all of a sudden everybody wanted to see everybody's toes, and I didn't want to show my toes because at the time I had corns. I have since had my corns removed. Now, these toes that we see here, while I don't see corns, we do see those thickened toenails. Now, these toenails have grown in very unique fashion in a unique directions.
Hold on, Alice. I'm gonna bring in your video.
Okay, let's do it. Let's watch the video.
I'm gonna bring just for just a minute, just a hot second of this.
But y'all saw the toes, right?
They did, but we're gonna bring in your boomerangs. Boomerang.
Oh, this is right.
That's Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. And her toes aren't even that.
That's Robin, right? Robin Givens.
Yeah.
Look, but her toes ain't even that bad.
They weren't that bad. She just has a couple corns. But you know, that can happen from ladies from your heels, you know, wearing very tight fitting shoes, trying to be cute. So look at this. This is totally uncalled for. But when he slid out the bed, and I was like, oh Lord, everybody's gonna want to see everybody's toes.
And then they're gonna talk about it the next day, and like he just couldn't. He was like, I can't even hang with this girl because of her toes or whatever. And this is why people have shame about their toes. So we see these toes, right? Okay, so let me just get into it. So this is more than just a cosmetic concern, guys. I mean, literally, we're stepping into the world of onychomycosis. This is the thickened nails with toe fungus. So you can see that there. Dark environments, sweat, moisture, and tight fitting shoes can contribute to something like this. But it's more than just cosmetically that impacts our health. But, you know, we see these videos. The first thing everyone thinks of is like, oh my gosh, they have this body image disturbance. They don't want to show their toes. They're so embarrassed. But I'm here to say that that is probably the least of your worries, because toes like this, toenails like this fungus can lead into more medical concerns, infections, the formation of the toenails and how it disforms her feet look a little disformed. That's can actually be very, very painful, very painful. So people impacts one's mobility and things of that nature. In this particular video, you see someone coming in with their toenails like this, and God bless the nail tech that's in there, because look at the final product. She was able to transform those nails into something special. Right. And it's really, it is something special. And I think it's really fantastic, Alice, that we like,
yes,
there are people who are really into this. They're like, okay, you have this, something going on with your toes. And I guess the bottom, look at that. Beautiful. I'm jealous of the sparkles on her nails. But I think the bottom line with all of this is that you might have this, and sometimes it's just really tough for some people to actually be able to do things to their feet on their own. And you might be like, okay, I know that that's off, but I don't know what's up. There are from nail technicians to podiatrists who are specifically foot providers, like foot doctors, and everybody in between. There are people, diabetic feet specialists. There are people that can help you with your feet. And so we see these things on TikTok or whatever, and we're like, dang, that's some funky toes. But number one, no shame, no judgment about this.
No.
And there's help for you. Like if you don't know what to do with it, you feel like you've tried some things and it doesn't work. Listen, the help for you to go, that she is the perfect example. I'm gonna pull it up again, of getting your toes from one place that you don't like, and that could be like unhealthy for you, to a different place that is healthier for you. And you can wear your little hot girl summer, pumps at the pool because your toes are cute now. There is help for you out there. So you don't have to just like live with your toes and like decide that that's just what they are,
Exactly. And I think it's also real important to emphasize that it's more than just a cosmetic problem. These people will have pain, discomfort, problems walking. It's a fungal infection. It can turn into other infection, and especially if you're diabetic, can lead to a lot of problems with your feet. And I don't know, let's just be quite honest. We look at our face in the mirror every day. Do we look at our feet every day? So if you're someone who doesn't look at your feet every day, I want you to turn to your feet, like they say in church, turn to your neighbor, turn to your feet, I love you. And just take a good look at your feet. You should be looking at your feet more, not just when you go to the nail shop to get a pedicure. Not just, there you go. I love you. Right? Caress them, touch them. You should know you should know what your feet look like. Okay. You should know what the toenails, looking for any lesions. I mean, you really got to know, because your feet are Right. And for the most part, most people, they have on socks, shoes. They're in cold, dark, sweaty environments. They may probably, maybe even they stink.
Breeding ground for bacteria.
Breeding ground for bacteria. So it's really important that you take better care of your feet just as much as you wash your hands and look at your hands. You know, wash your feet, look at your feet, keep them moisturized, just like you would your hands. We don't appreciate our feet as much as we should. We're on these suckers all day, all day.
All
If
day.
anything, your
Yep.
feet should be demanding that you pay price. I need you to pay. I need you to pay like you weigh, ma'am,
Also,
or sir. You're standing all day. And in them heels, who told you to wear them stilettos? Who told
right.
you could fit in those?
Because we rocking stilettos, Alice. And listen, if you want to rock the stilettos, that's fine. Please do continue on. But
Yes.
then also know that you got to take care of your feet. One of the smartest things that my dad, RIP, ever taught me was about like how important it is to take care of your feet. And when I was younger and the body would snap back a lot faster, I was like, I ain't worried about these feet. And then when I did start actually taking care of my feet, like I literally wear insoles, like grandpa insoles. But I tell you what, changed my life. I'm a better athlete now. My back doesn't hurt. My knees don't hurt as bad. Like it's wild. So taking care of your feet is a huge, huge, huge aspect of your overall health because it's all connected, right? So don't, take care of them feet while you also taking care of that ocular syphilis, while you also having that medical debt erased from your credit score.
Absolutely. So there's treatment for all of these things, guys. You just got to take the first step, talk to your healthcare provider, because we can't help you with something we don't know about. And a lot of times we can take care of these things at early stages. If you look at the toenail fungus, I mean, there are creams, there are ointments, there's oral medication, there are things that we can do. There's laser treatment for your toenails. Sometimes we can remove the toenail, but the first thing is early identification. So look at your toenails without the nail polish on. Is your nail bed a nice clear color, or is it stained yellow, gray, black? Even, and I hate to go there, but even looking at your toes, melanoma, a darkened streak up your nail bed. I mean, you got to know what your toenails look like so we can, your feet deserve just as much attention as your hands, your arms, your legs, and other things.
Yeah.
Because you ain't going nowhere without your feet.
And
you
even if you
roll around somewhere, but you ain't going to walk around.
Right. Well, and listen, if you don't have to be able to diagnose it and give it a name. I like to take that power away from people. Like, because it's so much anxiety. You're like, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. What is it? That's our job. That is the professional's job. You can even go to the place where you get your nails did, if it's someone that you trust or whatever, and be like, something's funky on my toe here. What do you think that is? And they might be like, oh, girl, you need to get that checked out. Or actually, it's just a thing. Like, don't worry about it. Or, what do we always say? Like, contact your primary care provider and be like, hey, I need you to look at this thing on my toe. And even nowadays, like, I know my primary care provider does this all the time. They're just like, send me a picture. Upload it to the thing. They'll take a look at it and they'll be like, oh, nope, you're fine. It's just a mole. See me in 6 months,
And you are not alone. And believe me, even your most favorite celebrity, athlete, actress is not immune from these things. James, are we able to pull that picture up?
Wait. Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna put some toes on the screen.
Head, shoulder, knees, and toes.
Right. This is someone who is amazingly famous. We know and love him for his stellar contributions to the NBA. But listen, NBA, he was on the court, socks, shoes, sweaty feet. And now, look at his toes. But he does take care of his toes now.
Does he? Wait, do you know this person individually, Alice? Because sometimes you be knowing folks.
I've met this person. I can't say that I know him enough. I mean, I've not talked to this person about their toes, but this person has talked on television enough about their toes and shared them with the world. Are we able to share it?
I'm trying. It won't. Oh, let me see if I can put. There we go. I got it now. I got it. We figuring this out. Here we go. We should play a game as we wrap up here. We got to leave, y'all. We leaving in like 2-3 minutes. We should play this game. Whose toes are
these? They're not Dr. James Simmons, even though his name is up there. But let me also just say this. You see the deformity of the big toe. This is a person who has spent his life playing basketball up and down the court, probably more time on the basketball court probably than anywhere else in his life. And you can see how the nail beds have gotten thickened, crusty, they're white, they're discolored. And some people, they get ashamed of toes like this, but not this individual. This individual has come out in the open and shared his toenail journey. and has encouraged other people to take care of their toes. And should I say who it is? Do I have any guess? Is anybody guessing whose toes these are?
Look, I made it huge. I made the toes all big up in your grill.
Anyone want to guess whose toes these are?
I'm trying to see if we have some comments coming in. People trying to be like, wait, whose toes are these? Nope, nobody's guessing. We got to let them know.
I was guessing the wrong. Like, girl, ain't that your man's toes? No. But listen, I don't love anybody less because their toes are like this. I would just help them with what they need. But no, these toes belong to the Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq, if you're listening, it's all love. We just wanted to. We're thankful that you have talked about your particular condition so you can help others. And that's what we're here to do. We're just here to share the message.
That's what we love. Sharing the message about. Actually, Shaq's probably on the Shaq's on the broadcast right now for the game tonight, right? In studio in Atlanta on CNT. So, but maybe we'll tweet this out because sometimes they pull up those tweets when you give Shaq a hard time. So we'll bring up some stuff like that. Listen, today's episode, y'all, was brought to you by you. Syphilis and funky toes. What do you do about them?
Yep.
Were comments and suggestions from y'all.
Yes.
We really appreciate that. And that's why we do this. This show is about y'all. So I'll put an asterisk. Most Mondays we go live 5 p.m. Pacific time. So we want to know your questions. Sometimes we have a bunch of comments. There's a few people commenting here on YouTube and LinkedIn, but not as many as normal. And that is okay because a lot of times that means y'all sliding into our DMs and in our email asking us questions. So we are here for you. We definitely want to know what you want to talk about, what is important to you. We also will do some headlines every week like we normally do. And so if y'all have any questions about anything that we talked about here or anything you want to talk about in the future, state of the world, how Alice just looks so damn fabulous all the time and is so smart at the same time. I don't know how she does it either. We should have a Q&A with Alice.
I'm trying to keep up with you, Dr. James. You know, I'm you know what, this is a very, like, I love starting the week off like this. I just have to say, it's really good to be able to kind of, catch up with my dear friend, Dr. James here, and then share this important information with you all in a very non-threatening, relaxed environment where there's no judgment, here to answer questions. So if y'all wouldn't mind, when we do these, if you could please share the reposts of these shows, we'd love it, because we really want to get this information out there. So please share that the Dr. James and Nurse Alice show is every Monday, most Mondays, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And by the way, if you don't already, please follow Dr. James Simmons at Ask the NP on all platforms. I mean, he has amazing morning rounds on TikTok. So if you follow him there for your morning, now he does that pretty early. So that's for the early birds.
Right.
But you go back and watch it. Yeah. But if you want to ask questions, they got to catch you when they catch you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And those questions come rapid fire. It's like a rapid fire thing in morning rounds. So there'll be like 84 questions and I answer all of them in like half an hour.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Or try to anyway. Try to.
Exactly. And then listen, if you're a follower of Dr. James Simmons, nice to meet you. We're family now, so you should follow me too at Ask Nurse Alice. I'm on all platforms as well. And also, by the way, please check out my website, asknursealice.com. Would love it if you go there, check it out, read some articles, tweet, share, tons of stuff there. Just go there. Just go. Just go.
Just
tons of great information. Yeah.
And on that note, I think we should go too, Alice.
Yeah, we got to go.
Happy Monday, y'all. Have a great week. See you next time.
Make good choices.
Make good choices. Go get syphilis.